So I came to York thinking, I'm not going to do closed shops. I don't believe there are any. But as you said in the comments, come and check York out. It's closed everywhere. And you were absolutely right. I brought a piece of paper and I started to put names on it of all the shops that were shut. I've actually run out now of places to put names. There are that many closed shops. I've done a few of these boarded up videos now, and what I keep getting is in the comments below that you have to come to a certain place, and I don't believe it, because I used to work here a few years ago and there's only one shop shut, and that was BHS, and it reopened as a flannel shortly after. And I've come here today to England's capital of the north, York, because in the comments people are saying shops are closing here too. I don't believe it. I hope we're not going to find any. Let's go and check some out. York welcomes an incredible 8.9 million visitors every single year, which in turn brings 1.7 billion into the local economy. Half of those visitors are in the 45 to 65 age range, which means they've got lots of disposable cash to spend in those shops. So I'm hoping those shops are all doing well. We'll also come at the busiest time of year, during the York Christmas Market, which is the longest running market in the UK, running from the 16th of November to the 22nd of December. So surely shops can be open during that time. York also boasts a pub for each day of the year. So the nighttime economy here is also really good and really thriving. York is also home to the Shambles, one of the best medieval shopping experiences in all of Europe. I'm not hoping to find any shops shut in the Shambles. So here's my first one. Welcome to Yorkshire. This shop's all boarded up. I've only just entered York. It seems a bit silly. I've been walking for quite a while. Lots of open shops, lots of thriving independent retailers. We've got lovely pubs all over the place and they're all busy. I've seen one shop close, so I'm not seeing or feeling the presence of the death of the high street here in York as yet. I passed a few closed shops now. They had homeless people in the doorways, so I was very reticent to film in them. I found another one here though, around Goodround Gate. I don't know what it is, I'll try and find out. Put comments below. Again, all boarded up. Here behind me is a massive retail unit, Boots, and in a move to consolidate their business, Boots are closing 300 stores this year, with more to follow next year. I mean, just look at the size of the store. It stretches all the way down there, and you come around here, right the way down this street. Nobody's going to take over these premises. They are far too big. Here we are in the Shambles, and we're facing shops that are shutting. But they have got one thing. They've got nice artwork in the windows, so it's still pleasing to walk past. This lovely store used to belong to Connelly's. Unfortunately, you can only buy things from there online now. I don't recall there being this many charity shops last time I came to York. We've passed quite a few now, and they're all benefiting from the 8% reduction in business rates, and they're right on the high street. And this is a particularly sad one. This is Fossgate Books, and after trading for 30 years, finally closed its doors in December 2022, wants to retire. And this massive retail space behind me used to be the Lockfin restaurant, and Lockfin have had to start closing their stores all over. This one in York closed back in November, and the one in Edinburgh has also closed its doors. So wow, this is really interesting. Thanks for sending me to York. And if you've got any other ideas or places for me to go, please let me know in the comments below. I am finding a lot more than I thought I was going to. This is one thing I love about York. It really holds on to its history. We've got here F.R. Stubbs, the ironmonger. The shop's no longer here. It was here for a very long time. And the ironmonger was the kind of place you'd go for those tools and household implements that you don't come to the high street anymore for. just look at this absolutely beautiful building behind me. It's been shut for a very long time and it's got quite a lot of vandalism on the front. Now there's been plans in place to turn it into a Marriott hotel, but the plans have been in place since 2020. Nothing's happened yet. So this massive retail space behind me used to belong to Topman, Topshop and Mrs Selfridge. Now following the failure of the Arcadia Group in 2020, this shop has not reopened as anything else. What I want to know from you, if you've lost a Topman, Topshop or Mrs Selfridge, have you been able to turn it into anything else? Ironically, right next door to that Topman, Topshop and Mrs Selfridge that had to close in 2020 is Primark, and these guys aren't going anywhere. It's getting interesting now because I've got that block behind me of Topman, Topshop and Mrs Selfridge, and I turn over across the road and I can see another massive retail unit up for let. Look at this, I've got row after row of shops here to let, followed by to let down the road. And I'm not far from that block that's closed down there. High street banks are closing all over, with over 5,000 closing their doors in the last few years. Lloyds Bank has closed 36 banks so far on the high street. This one might be next. Building societies are also affected, and Halifax has closed 23 high street branches this year. This one might be closing soon. As more and more people turn to online banking, banks on the high street are closing for good, and Barclays behind me has closed 41 banks on the high street this year alone. They may be closing this one soon. This massive retail space behind me used to be a vintage clothes shop, but York are doing something right. They're now turning it into residential apartments. We need more housing, we need less high street shops. This massive unit behind me is set over 5 floors, and it used to be a health food store, but they can only actually do things with the ground floor. The other floors can be used for storage only. Now, it's up for rent at the moment, and the landlord wants $59,500 a year of rent for this shop. You can only purposefully use the ground floor. Now you've got your business rates on top of that, you've got your energy prices, and you've got your staffing bills on top of that. Could you move in here? I don't think so. And here we are in the heart of the shambles, and at one point in time there were 3 Harry Potter copycat shops. This one behind me, Geek Outlet, had to close its doors. I'm guessing from stiff competition from other Harry Potter shops. Thankfully the one across the road is still open. Check it out. And this is Hardy Farrell, and it's only open for 1 year. It closed earlier on this year, and it's right in the heart of the shambles. You can't stay open here. Where's it going to stay open? The footfall here is absolutely insane, and there's definitely more shops open than there are shut, so come and check it out. And this is Paperesque. It opened in 2015 and wanted to show people their love of stationery and craftsmanship, but it closed in 2022, and it's the 4th shop on this tiny road that's already closed. This is King Kobe, and it used to be a barber's, but back in August the leaseholders moved in and turfed them out. Well, the place is still empty. What have they got planned for it? And only 2 doors down from King Kobe, the barber's that's closed, this is Giselle Ladies Wear, and it was open for 35 years and was much loved by its customers. But due to the energy crisis, she had to close the doors back in August. What a shame. And literally just around the corner from the barbers and the clothes shop that had to close, we've got 2 massive retail spaces that are up for let, but they're so big, who will take them on? And this big retail space behind me used to be Smart's Menswear. Now they've moved to another location, but they've left this big space empty. We have found Robert Smart Menswear. He's moved to bigger premises around the corner. That does still leave that other one empty though. There's lots of busy cafes and bars in New York, and this is the Tea Palace, and it closed in September 2022 because of spiralling costs and the hen party culture. But nobody's been able to open up in this premises ever since, so it stood empty for that length of time. Behind me is the magnificent York Minster, which took over 250 years to build, and it even survived a fire started by a lightning bolt in 1984. If this can survive, High Street surely has a hope. And just a short way from the Minster, we've got two closed shops. We've got Tempt Chocolate and a jewellery shop here, which has been open for a very long time. And so close to the Minster. Where's the logic? And this huge double-fronted retail unit either side of me here used to be the Larder Club, and it closed back in December 2022 because it couldn't afford to continue. Nothing has been able to take over this vast retail space. And this huge retail space behind me is occupied by New Look, who are already actively closing down stores throughout the country. This one has survived up to now. It might not survive much longer. And on the opposite end of the scale, you have Browns, which has won a national award for being one of the best department stores. Come to York and see Browns. And this is TM Lewin, and it collapsed back in 2020, closing 66 stores nationwide. This one's been closed all that time. It's likely to stay closed for the foreseeable future. And this behind me is Costa Coffee, but it used to be the lovely Disney store, but Disney closed all its stores back in July 2021, including this one. And this is a hairdresser's, and hairdressers suffered really badly during the pandemic because they couldn't open during that time. This one suffered, and it's been left closed ever since. So this is Feesgate, and the national press have even picked this one up. We've got Max Headroom, which is closed here. We've got a shop, I don't know what it was closed there. A chiropody clinic, also closed. Across the way, we've got Sports Direct, which has moved to other premises. In total, there's 7 shops on this short street that are all closed. We've got what used to be a Co-op bank over here, a shop over here, which is also closed, and finally, in this corner, we have Old Penny Lane, a family entertainment centre that's also been closed for a very long time. I've just moved a little bit from that street, and all this here is also shut. It has got nice pictures on the outside of it, but there's no shop. And as we mentioned before, banks are actively leaving the high streets. And here behind me is NatWest, and they've closed 66 banks this year alone. Next year they plan to close even more. This one might be next. And this is a vast unit that stretches in both directions, a shop to let. And there's so many around here, I'm actually horrified by how many shops we're finding in York that are closed. And this behind me is TK Maxx. They've closed the one in the high street because of the increase in rates. They've opened one up at Monk's Cross, which is a retail park, and on my way in here today, I saw buses after buses full of people going to Monk's Cross retail park. People are clearly choosing to shop there, where the prices are lower, than stay in the town centre and shop here. Clinton's has already closed 1/5 of its stores in the UK, and it's looking to close a lot more. They were hoping to do a merger with Paperchase, but Tesco's bought Paperchase and that merger failed. Clinton's is on the way out. And this, if I've got my bearings right, is a location of Willows, which closed back in 2015. It was a much loved nightclub and restaurant. It's been shut ever since. And this behind me was the Carphone Warehouse. It had a high street shop, but now they've moved to the Clifton Moor retail park down the road to save money, leaving this shop vacant. So I came to York thinking, I'm going to go to the market. I'm not going to do closed shops. I don't believe there are any. But as you said in the comments, come and check York out. It's closed everywhere. And you were absolutely right. I brought a piece of paper and I started to put names on it of all the shops that were shut. I've actually run out now of places to put names. There are that many closed shops. Now this one was a nail shop and it closed in April 2022. So this shop has been stood vacant and empty like this all that time, and it's likely to carry on for the foreseeable future. Right opposite Ebor Nails over there, we've got this behind me that used to be Bells of York, which has been shut for some time. So directly facing each other, we've got more closed units. And this behind me is Indigo Sun, a tanning shop, which I'm guessing had to close because of global warming, and everyone getting tans for free. And this massive retail unit behind me used to be the high street Budgeons, and I know that person that used to come here to get my snacks while I was working. It's closed, I'm not sure when, but it's a massive retail space to fill. I'm not sure who's going to fill it. So behind me I've got a lovely antique shop that's had to close. Next to Chris Caesar Photography, he's stopped selling photography. And then across the way, some more boarded up units that are set to let. Let's go and investigate what's over there. And this beautiful building behind me, it used to be Brigantes, and it's an award-winning pub and eatery. And unfortunately, they couldn't renegotiate their terms with a very greedy landlord. So they couldn't stay here any longer, and they closed in June 2020. And that greedy landlord has had no money in all that time. Serves him right. I couldn't resist taking one last look at York Minster before I go back home. That was very shocking. Thank you so much for mentioning in the comments time and time again that I should come to York and check out all the clothes shops there. I wouldn't have believed it possible. I'd actually say there's more clothes shops here than there is in Scotland, but there's still a lot of shops open. I'd still come to visit the Minster, walk the walls, enjoy the medieval shambles, and enjoy all those pubs that are still open and thriving. But the thing that really shocks is a lot of these shops have been closed now for 2-3 years and have been stood empty. Now that's a long time for them to be refilled up again, and the sheer scale is kind of overwhelming. They've done a good job dressing up storefronts with arts and things you can enjoy around York still, and there were signs of some retail units being turned into housing developments. Now that's something in the comments have all been very strong on, that these high streets cannot exist in the shape they are anymore, and that they have to change, and that we have to start thinking about creating more retail units and affordable housing in these high streets so that we have more people coming and enjoying them. Anyway, don't stop coming to York, but don't be surprised if you see a lot of closed shops. You will.